Hi there. Thank you for joining me as I share another aha moment from when I left my 30th office in Idaho Falls, Idaho. This was a great trip, mostly due to the integrity of the gentleman who hosted me, Travis Collins, who owns Distinguished Images Cleaning Services in Idaho Falls. He is a man of his word. He has an amazing amount of integrity. You can trust what he says. He is wise, he is thoughtful, and what I appreciated about Travis more than anything was he gave myself and his managers all the support we needed, but yet enough room for us to be able to get our job done and make decisions we needed to make. It was a pleasure to work there, and it was such a pleasure to work with his three managers because, of course, he hires in his own image, and his managers not only accepted new ideas, but they embraced them and asked lots of questions and wanted to really try a lot of different things if they felt it helped. And if they didn't think it would help, they were very honest. Pleasure to work with them, and their cleaners were a delight. About 85 to 90% embraced the system. The other 15 to 20% cried and pouted and then embraced the system. So it was a great week. So my aha moment is really for offices that have anywhere from 12 to 14 cleaners, and they do about $500,000 to $600,000 a year. Some as much as 8 and 18 cleaners. It's that point at which you're stuck. You used to be growing at 30%, and suddenly you're growing at 10 to 12%. You don't quite know how to get to the next stage, the next level. I believe and I've seen this theme in most of the offices I've been in that are over this mark, I believe the difference is your cleaning process, if you have one, and your cleaners. And I believe the missing link is the field operations manager. Most companies hire a customer service sales manager first. I would never do that. My first hire at about $200,000 to $250,000 gross income per year would be a field operations manager, because nobody's going to sell your company like you, and what you're doing is replacing yourself in one of your jobs because you have too much to do now. Replace yourself in the field first, partly because you're getting a little jaded there as well. But you need a cleaner advocate, and you need a cleaner manager. They need to be a leader and a manager and an advocate. They need to be dedicated to teaching your people, and that's about their only job, teaching your people to follow your process. But they also need to be dedicated to finding the process, using the best products. As the industry changes, they need to also keep up with it and make sure that they are using what is most efficient, delivering the best quality. They need to be dedicated to ensuring make the cleaners feel that they are growing with this company, that there's someplace to go. And they themselves are a perfect example of the growth in your company, because I always suggest you find your field manager from the cleaners you currently have. You should always be grooming your first field manager, then your second, then your third. They need to be dedicated to making sure that they are strong enough and care enough about those cleaners that their voice will be heard. They are the voice of the cleaner at the management meetings, but now the cleaners have a voice because they are the ones who make you your money. And you know what? They have some really good things to say. They need to be dedicated to making your numbers, and if you put them on a bonus plan, believe me, they'll be dedicated to making that company hit the numbers you need to hit. They need to be dedicated to doing a great job, and they will be, because they have a job they never dreamed they would get. They never dreamed when they were hired as a cleaner for your company that someday they would be managing 14, 16 people, hiring, firing, motivating, making a difference in people's lives. They love their jobs. Of the 12 office managers I've trained, all brand new office managers, only one has not made it, and the other ones love their jobs, truly. They need to be dedicated to solving problems and answering questions, because the more problems they solve and the more questions they answer, the more problems they'll hear about and the more opportunities they'll have to move your company forward. Believe me, they are your missing link. If you do not have a field operations manager, you need to get one if you have $500,000 gross revenue. They are the cohesion between the office and your cleaners. You know, I heard this a lot in the field. Many times the cleaners don't think that the office staff gets it. And of course I know the office staff thinks the cleaners don't get it. But they might be right. I would say about 50% of your work orders are totally inaccurate. I've had this discussion on videos before. But what is sad is the fact that a lot of the supervisors or team leaders or whoever on that team that I talk to and say, you need to write this down once we've done it wrong, say, or I'm about to do it wrong, and they go, wait, and tell me what to do because they've been to this home before. And I say, you need to write this down. And they're like, I have 3 times. It never changed. Why would I bother anymore? When I investigated, it's true. The offices have not inputted what this cleaner has had to say. You know, it's important. A note like you need to park in the side driveway at this home doesn't mean a lot to the office. They might think, well, where else would they park? This particular house had 2 driveways. The owner wanted you to park to the side, so if they needed to run out in a hurry in the morning, you weren't blocking their garage. You didn't even know that side driveway was there. You couldn't see it. It needed to be on the work order. So when a team gets there and they don't see this on the work order and they're a new team, and unfortunately we all have to sometimes make changes, this is why you shouldn't, they park behind the driveway and behind the man, and he's in a hurry, and that cost him that client. All because the office didn't put it into the work order. So sometimes the office doesn't understand. And even if the client didn't cancel, that poor team had to sit there and listen to that client scream at them because they don't know who made the mistake. They don't even probably understand it's a different team than the last time was there. Be kind to everyone. And I don't know how we could make this any different or if we even wanted to. But cleaners will always look at office people as scary people who are there to get them in trouble. And office people always look at cleaners as people who simply can't follow directions. What you need is an advocate who feels strong enough to sit at that, or has a right to sit at a manager's meeting and bring those concerns to the office, because you know what? It'll just make everybody a bigger, stronger company, and it'll make you scalable. When things aren't documented, whether it's in the office or in the field, you're not scalable. I believe that a large reason for the success of this program that I've developed in spending a week to 10 days in someone's office working with and training the field managers or the cleaners if there is no field manager, and training the owner, is the fact that I spent 50 hours bonded to the hips of your new field operations manager. And while we're bonded, we're bonding in the field, training your cleaners how to clean a home perfectly every single time they clean it. And eventually, we hope, with a lot less effort than they were putting into it before. When I left Distinguished Images on Friday night, Angelita, the new field manager, started crying. And this time, not because she was angry with me. They were tears of gratitude. I was so moved. And she said she wanted to thank me for everything I brought to the cleaners and everything I did for the cleaners and for the managers and for their company. And all I can say to this is, I did not bring it. It was there before I got there. I simply facilitated it. I was their voice. There were some changes that needed to be made in the supplies area. There were easier ways to do things. I taught them how to actually use their apron, not just wear it, so it became a tool instead of a gun that they didn't want to see. They really enjoyed the aprons in the end and saw how handy they were, and by the end of the week, some of them were just automatic with it and would have a difficult time giving it up now. I did not give up. I forced them to learn this process. So they knew, regardless of what they said, I wasn't going to walk away, to the point of one of the cleaners actually bursting into tears in the kitchen when I was trying to tell her again that she needed to have one hand free. She got very frustrated. She started crying. I asked her what her problem was. I said I was glad she was crying, and I was glad she felt that she could share with me the tears and what was wrong. And she said she'd been cleaning for 20 years, and suddenly she just doesn't even know how to do it, and she's ready to quit and give up. And I said, well, I can totally understand that, blah, blah, blah. We talked through it. She continued to clean the kitchen. When she got done and stepped back, it sparkled. And she noticed the difference between the product we were using and the way we cleaned it versus the way she was doing it. And she said, it does look good. I gave her a paid smoke break so that she could relax. She wanted to check out, and I said, no, you don't check out, you smoke, because this gal needed a break and support at that time. We went to the next house. I watched them for a little while. She was doing fine. I left them alone, went to another team, got into the office that night, and she came up to me and said, I just have to tell you this. By the time I got to the last house, my hand just automatically put that towel in the pocket, and I had a free hand. I wanted to keep it out, and I couldn't. Habit just made me put it in. She also said we shaved 15 minutes off that house and got everything. She was full of pride and energy. She was a great contributor at the supervisors meeting that evening. I believe this was a game changer for this employee, this supervisor, as well as the company. She might be on her way to becoming the next field manager instead of leaving the company, as was the rumor before I got there. So how do you get cleaners to buy into something that's been done for 20 years their way and they think they're great? Well, I have a couple pieces of advice before I close here. One is, when you are training, train only in repeat homes that are a regular home of this particular cleaner, that they clean that area on a regular basis, whatever area you're teaching them. I guarantee you there are creatures of habit in whatever they've been missing for 6 months to a year now. And when you get there, you're going to have dust falling off of vents. You're going to have switch plates where once you actually clean them, mud comes rolling down the switch plates. You have to use a little tile brush, the small one, in order to even get in the grooves. They're so dirty. Dust fell off of a lamp in the kitchen on the back of their dark t-shirts, and the cleaner was white in the back. If at all these cleaners care at all about their jobs, these are very humbling situations to these cleaners. A lot of the houses are clean, but again, they're creatures of habit, and they haven't been taught habits that get everything every time. So they miss things. It's not their fault, but they do miss things, and it makes them realize that they do need a process that gets them to get everything every single time. But you can't teach them that. You can't humble them like that. If you're in a one-time house or somebody else's house, it needs to be a repeat home, and it needs to be the home that they regularly clean. So I would like to conclude by asking, who in your company is your cleaner advocate? Do you have one? Perhaps the reason that you are struggling is that you're missing that link, that field operations manager who takes care of everything in the field. And that's their only focus and their only concern. If you're not sure how this works, if you would like a job description for the field operations manager, please email me at sltinberg@yahoo.com. That's sltinberg, TINBERG @yahoo.com, and I will send you a field operations manager job description. If you'd like to talk a bit about my coming to your office and implementing all of these things for you, I would love to chat. Give me a call at 512-964-9750, or visit my website at www.successmadeeasy.com, spelled MAID, and click on the banner Cross Country Training, and it will give you a full agenda, which of course we tweak to match your company. Thanks for your time. Again, if you're stuck at $5, $6, $7, even $800,000 and you don't have true field operations managers, and I don't mean, I know several offices that I visited had these field operations managers in their position before I got there, but what they were doing was operating as Number one, a relief person, a person who goes out and cleans when somebody is absent. And which one of you companies don't need a relief person almost every day when you're at that level? And if they didn't have to clean, then they would go inspect homes for quality. They were an inspector. They were, in my opinion, a snitch. They went back and reported everything that the cleaners did wrong. So within 3 months, the cleaners hated them, even if they were a relief person. And the owner goes, oh, used to be so great, and then it all went to their head and they weren't the same anymore. No, they were given a job that has an impossibility of being successful as that job description is written. They cannot only be snitches, they need to be motivators and leaders and decision makers. And then